Let's talk about it. Focus on today because you're in that time.
That's what you can control today.
A lot of people say that, but do you really understand what you're saying? Tomorrow's not promised. So what are you doing today to make today valuable for you? Let's talk about it. Hello, welcome back to Let's Talk About It. So glad to be here. I hope you guys ready for another episode. Thank you for joining us last episode on Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Queen, and I have here, welcome back, The Difference. We are so glad to have you back.
Hey, Queen, excited to be back.
And to all the listeners that gave us a little shout out, and shot me a message. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm excited to just talk more about, different books or just providing our insights. Remember, we're not professionals, so this is just our personal opinion. So you guys can do whatever you want with it. But truly appreciate, all our listeners here for Let's Talk About It. And so wherever you're at, find a little couch in the corner, get comfortable, sip on a cup of tea, or if you're just doing laundry out there, work, doing what you got to do. But let's get started, man. Also, I want to give a shout out to my man Puni Moore from the whyuce. My man, thank you for the shout out on your last podcast. I truly appreciate you. I'm still learning, and I learn from the best because you are the best, Puni Moore. And of course, a big shout out to WEFOBZ. WEFOBZ. You can visit them on wefobz.io. So let's dive right into this, the difference. So let's go ahead and do a little recap of what we talked about last episode. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and take it from here. Then I'll just jump in right after you're done.
Okay, in a nutshell, what we discussed or what we talked about in the last episode last week was subject was, or the title of the book is how to stop worrying and start living. And it was just the three questions that we went over with was, first question is, what is the worst that could possibly happen? When people come across worry, and worry is it's part of it, your everyday life. Everybody goes through worry, but finding ways to counter it and to move on. I would ask myself, those three questions. What is the worst that could possibly happen? Number two, prepare to accept it if you have it, the consequences. And number three is, to calmly proceed to improve on the worst. So just coming to the decision, just coming with answering those two first questions, tends to eliminate some of that worry. Worry is still gonna be there, but knowing that you taking that step forward and combating it, it's very helpful. And also, I didn't talk about last week, but always, pen to paper, it's pretty powerful. Just writing it down, rather than,
Yeah.
writing down your questions and your answers, which helps out. So, that's about it, about the recap on worry, and especially how it affects your, mental health and physical health.
Right. Yeah, so here's my recap on it. Number one is living in day tight compartments. And I remember you spoke that was one of the first things you spoke on. And Arthur Carnegie suggests that focusing on the present moment. We talked a lot about that. Focus on the present moment and not letting the past or future overwhelm you. Taking life one day at a time can reduce anxiety. So that was Carnegie's whole meaning behind living in daytime compartments. Another thing, number two, a magic formula for solving worry situations. You were talking about, the three questions you ask yourself. So this book provides a systematic approach to tackling worries, and Difference talked about asking yourself those three questions. And it also, this book is to encourage, it's about encouraging readers to analyze the situation. Make a decision and then act on the decision without second guessing. And the other one, number 3, that you just mentioned before I jumped in, is what worry may do to you. The author discusses the physical and mental toll that constant worrying can take on an individual's health and well-being, emphasizing on the importance of breaking the worry habit. We all know we have those worry habits. So that's why this book is very powerful. It just teaches you, gives you things, give you different avenues so you can utilize and basically just put it into action. Right, difference? You know,
You're exactly right about that. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves on breaking the worry habit, but when we do get into it, we'll be discussing about, some of the basic techniques, of analyzing worry. And the first part of it is, just getting all the facts. So you come across a situation that's putting you through a lot of worry about it, just get the facts. Like I said, pen to paper is pretty powerful, get the facts, write it down, write down the facts, uh, that are the cause, that may be the cause of the problem. What's the cause of, my particular problem right now? Get that, collect all the facts, what am I worried about? Secondly, then you start analyzing the facts. What can I do? What can I do about it? You're going to come up with, pretty much multiple scenarios of the root problem, to your situation.
right,
What you want to do when you're analyzing those facts and you're coming with all these scenarios, you're going to want to choose the best one, the best scenario out of pretty much all the facts that you're analyzing. Then you come up with that decision. Which one is the best one? Just that one. And lastly, you want to carry on with that decision, and with that final decision that you made, that final fact that you decided to pick. You don't walk it back. Don't self-doubt. Don't double think on it. You stick with that. It eliminates a lot of that worry. And once you put that aside, just care about the outcome.
right. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to touch on, the how to break the worry habit before it breaks you. And you mentioned the pen to paper. And that is very powerful for me as a personally, because I'm old school. I like to still write. I still buy the calendars, where I can just handwrite instead of, I prefer that over doing the calendar on the phone. But when you put it on paper, you see it. It's speaking to you. Like the difference said, you have to figure out what the issue is. How I do it is, what my issue. I write the issue, what it is. And then I see, how can I resolve it? What is the solution to do this? So I write it down. It's like brainstorming. So you can look at it. And then once you start attacking it, you act on it, you just cross it out. Cross as you go. It takes a lot of pressure on me personally when I start crossing things off of my, let's just call it to-do list on this one issue. So you can move on to the next issue, whatever it is. Because once you eliminate one, that's one list brick off of your shoulder, and you just keep going and going. But it takes you to actually act upon it instead of letting it run crazy in your mind. Because I know back then too, I used to like worry so much, and I just let it compile in my head without even doing anything about it. The things that I can control. But the things I cannot control, that's also is mentioned in this book, and we did talk about this last week, is cooperating with the inevitable, where we have to learn how to accept things that cannot be changed and just focus on how to make best of the current situation that we're dealing with, than dwelling on the negative aspects of it. Thank you for bringing that up. The pen to paper, that's powerful. If you don't like writing it down, then use your notes on your phone or so forth, whatever.
Oh yeah, you have other ways of doing it. People do, just typing it in on your phone. You really can't try to think about it and you think you're going to embed it in the back of your brain. No, just write it down. Or whatever comes to mind, just write it down.
Yeah. How do you go forward with that? Do you write it down, or are you the type of person that puts it on your phone, your notes?
If I don't have pen and paper, I'll put it on my notes.
Mm-hmm.
And normally what I'll do is I'll write the question, write down my question, what am I worried about? What's the cause of this problem? And I'll sit there and just think about, trying to come up with the facts, or, the root cause of what did this. Then I'll write that down. And normally I'll just think about, these different scenarios of, okay, if I did this, if I made a right over here and went up through this area, what would have I come to? No, that'd probably be a dead end. Okay, if I take a right, then I'll start, going out and checking my boxes. If I find something that's going to be less stressful on what I'm thinking of, I'm going to choose that scenario right there. Then I'm going to decide this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And I always tell myself, don't back down on it. No self-doubt, just go forward, move forward. Just care about the outcome. You pretty much eliminated worry of, the first 2 or 3 questions that you've come up with.
True.
And it helps. It helps. You just have that kind of a little oomph in your step and all that, because you're gonna do this. No turning back. And it was the same as uh I was never afraid when somebody would hey, we need a volunteer. And everyone's looking at each other, and I get up and say, what, sure, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Everyone's, the moment you hesitate, it's done. You're over with.
Yeah, you don't want to be the last person to just get out the way. I like to be the first one to volunteer myself. But as a youngster, because I sat in the back of the class when they started asking for volunteers, I would try to hide and not trying to get voluntold. But that's, yeah, before I get out of.
That's pretty much on a different subject when it comes to self-esteem.
So let's talk about self-esteem. Does it Carnegie talks about that in his book?
Mm,
How to keep from worrying about criticism?
there are some, notes of it, but
Right.
Yeah, we all start off with low self-esteem, just growing up. But the more you're social, the more you get out and about, and I have high self-esteem because I'm kind of adventurous in a way, and I just like to do different things.
Right. Well, this book, it deals, if you want to dive into more of this, uh the difference have high self-esteem, and your queen definitely have high self-esteem herself too. But this topic of how to keep from worrying about criticism is basically, criticism is a common source of worry for many people. So read it. The book offers strategies for handling criticism gracefully and not letting it undermine, your self-esteem. Which I want to. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or can I just, what? I'm just going to move forward to this one. What are your thoughts about, the cost of getting even? You know how people
Like payback,
huh?
the cost of getting even, like
Yeah,
payback,
payback. Yes,
payback.
holding
Well,
grudges, seeking revenge.
yeah, that's a person with that they have a cynical way of thinking. They just have to, someone does something, they feel that they've been hurt by, they do it intentionally? I really don't know what their psyche is, but
Mhm.
uh if you're doing payback in a practical joking way, that I don't find anything wrong with that. But if you're doing it to harm somebody, emotionally and physically, you know,
Mm.
there's something seriously wrong with that individual.
Something is wrong with, but I think, even when people like do payback as a joke, there's a lot of people too who don't take jokes very lightly. They're very sensitive. So, but this is a good part where people are going to have to practice forgiveness and letting go of past grievances
Hmm.
just for your well-being. The saying goes, it's like, don't be holding no grudges.
Yeah,
That
they
says
need
back.
to learn to be humble.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, because when people do you wrong, and you immediately go to that mode where you just want to, you know, um, you just hold grudges and you just want revenge. But is it really
Yeah,
worth it?
no, it's not. I've come to a conclusion as to, when I used to speak ill, directly towards a person,
Mhm.
just because they probably, said a comment behind my back or directly to me, that I didn't like. You know, my first thought that comes to mind is, besides trying to, get back at this individual, I always think that, well, maybe he's having a bad day.
Right.
We don't know what people are going through, in their lives, and
Yeah.
you want to look at that. You just like, somebody get your order wrong. You don't want to, pretty much just tear them apart verbally and all that. You don't know what this individual's going through. You just got to stay humble.
Yeah, that's key. Being humble. It's a very difficult
Yeah,
thing.
you treat others the way you want to be treated.
Right. And this book encourages forgiveness. And it does talk about treating others how you want to be treated, and letting go of the past. It's very difficult. And so, hey guys, listeners, don't hold a grudge. Don't hold a grudge. Don't even seek revenge. The difference just said, be humble. Be humble.
Do something good. We talked about it last week. Your daytime compartments. Do one good thing a day for yourself and for somebody else. It makes you feel good. If somebody comes and doesn't want to do anything good for you, or they kind of belittle you, berate you, just take it. You know,
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and ask a question. If something bothers you, something that we can, talk this over. Let's have a conversation.
I remember when you're seeking revenge, you just have that short gratification. But then after a while, after that little short-term gratification, all of a sudden you feel like crap. Why do you feel like crap? Because you know what you did was wrong, seeking revenge. So paying it forward, back to what you just said. Have you ever done one of those things where have you ever been the person that ordered coffee, or you went to a drive-through and your items were paid for, and then you just pay it forward by paying for the person behind you?
No, it hasn't happened to me yet.
Not yet.
Nope.
It happened twice to me.
Oh wow.
And thank goodness the order behind me wasn't a big order. You have some people order like $40 or $50, but for the coffee, the coffee line can go as much as that too. So I was very blessed when I ordered my breakfast. This was a couple of years back, and the cashier was like, "Oh, your order's been paid for by the car in front of you." I was like, "Oh, okay." The pay it forward. So I did the same thing for the car behind. It felt good. That was one positive thing to start my morning with.
Oh, if it was an old me, I'll say, "Oh, great." Tell him I said thank you, and just pay.
They'd be like, "I'm out of here."
Peace.
Hella wrong.
That would be the old me. I always said thank you, peace. Just peel on out.
Oh,
Well, the person behind you wouldn't know,
No, they
right?
wouldn't know. Only you would
Notice?
know.
Yeah,
Only,
they
only,
would know. I wouldn't have cared.
only you and your higher power. Only you and God. Only you.
Yeah,
But the new you,
yeah.
will you pay it forward?
Oh, absolutely. But if I see a Biden Harris bumper sticker on that car, I'm not paying for it. He owes me gas money.
He owes everybody gas money. But hey, listeners, do something good every day to help you. This is one of the techniques. Remember, we're just sharing our opinions and our thoughts, but it's all up to you how you want to handle it. Was there something else you want to touch base on?
Mm, not not that comes to mind.
Yeah, we covered some really deep topics. Want to go into it, but basically, this is like 6 topics we talked about. Because
Yeah.
last time
Well, we're still kind of like, how to break that worry habit. People, going through worry a lot, and you know, for example, you get into an accident. People worry about their health. They Even if they get in an accident, and some of them go through it physically, emotionally, and there's ways of handling it. By just keeping yourself busy,
right,
move. You know, I remember when I was admitted to the hospital, and the nurse was trying to get me up to walk a bit, and she told me that walking is the best cure to heal. And I gave her that little look, in my head, you know, a lot of nasty words are coming, weren't said, you
they were
know.
building up in that head of yours.
Yeah, I was willing walking, my feet hurt, you know, and apparently, I tried to walk. I did maybe 4 or 5 steps and sat back down. But then throughout the day, I just kept on thinking about what she said, that, walking heals. And I remember hearing about this years ago. So I got up again throughout the day. And every time, I got up 5 steps. And later on that evening, it ended up being 7 steps. And it's like, wow. Then the next day, I got up, did it again, start walking.
Yeah,
And I just realized, oh, she was right. I take everything back, what she just said. And just keeping yourself busy, because I was worried that, man, am I ever going to, you know, get through this, this
right.
pain? And just reading in the book how Dale Carnegie interviewed multiple people, talking about, what they did. We had an individual who lost his 2 children. He was so worried, he was losing weight, till he mentioned about if it wasn't for his surviving son, who asked him to, hey, daddy, can you build me a boat? He,
Yes.
he didn't want to. He didn't want to do it. But his son was very persistent about it, and he started working on a boat. And 3 hours later, after he finished, he just realized that those 3 hours, it he wasn't worrying anymore.
Yeah, he
And
was focused on that boat.
he was just focused on it. It took his worry away, and he decided, he came up with a list to keep himself active. He had a list of 200 things that he needed to do around the house. And next, a year or two later, you know, he was pretty much free from worry. He understood that keeping busy took his mind off the strains of life. The loss of his two kids.
Hmm.
And other people did the same thing. Just they had to keep on moving. Get their mind off, and it heals when you're no longer worrying. And there's like a quote that was in the book, that the worried person must lose oneself in action, lest he or her wither in despair. So lose yourself in action means keep busy, do
Hmm.
something, get involved, be active, join a club.
Go
you know,
volunteer.
You know, and other things, we always hear that saying that life is too short. Well, really, life is too short to be little. So it's always those little things, that can kind of upset somebody. But that feeling of you know, just not thinking about it. You know,
Right.
what is it that irritates you? Just accept it. It's there. That's what they do. But don't get upset because it's just a little trifle that because the more you start thinking about these little things that would irritate you or
Mm.
something somebody does, it just builds up, and the more it builds up becomes a very huge problem.
Yeah, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, yeah, and pretty much we have to look at the law of averages. No, law of averages. You just ask yourself. Examine the record. You just want to get, like we talked about, getting the facts, and everything just falls into place. Get your ducks in a row when you have all of that, just sort it out. It always comes down to that final decision and sticking with it.
Mhm.
Don't go back on your word. Hold yourself accountable.
Yep. Hold yourself accountable. And like the difference said, just keeping yourself occupied. I love that story in the book about the father who lost two children and the son asked to build the boat. That that painted a real good picture. And then I start asking myself, so did the father neglect the child and just kept himself busy? Or did he do things together with his son, his only living child, to build that relationship, for
Oh,
because I don't
oh
think
yeah,
I would with them two,
yeah, he was doing things with his son
Yeah. Yeah,
down the
that's
road.
no, when I was reading it, that's what I was thinking, but then, eventually when you get there, it's like, "Oh, okay," you
Yeah,
know? So it was a great ending to it,
yeah, because
basically.
he was going through his self healing
Yes,
by
yes,
eliminating worry, which brought him back to having that relationship with his 4-year-old son. Well, at
yes.
the time he was fully healed, it was 5 or 6, but it he right there tells you that worry may be something emotional, but worry can be actually a disease, even though it doesn't feel like it's physical.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, hope everyone took a shred of you know knowledge out of or ideas that you can take to combat worry.
Mhm.
Just you know pretty much that's about it. Just go out there and make a difference. Be that
Yeah,
good person. you know
be a blessing to someone. Well, thank you, Difference. Thank you again for coming on the Queens Let's Talk About It and share your insights on the book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. Um, uh,
Always a pleasure, my highness.
yeah, so my closing thoughts is the same with the difference. Go out there and be the best you. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to start. If you feel like you mess up, just draw that line and start again. When you start tackling using these things we talked about to tackle some of the worries you have. Remember again, listeners, we are not experts. We're not here to tell you what to do, but we're here to share our insights. And hopefully, we know this was like a shotgun blast of information, but it's just little tidbits, little nuggets that we got out of the book. I think we're gonna do one more episode of this book. But if you want us to talk about anything else, like Punimo was tell on his last podcast, Difference, he wants you to talk about that book you mentioned, the Democrat something. He's like, I want the Difference to talk more about that book he mentioned. That sounds very interesting.
We keep the political stuff out.
And that's what I told him when I spoke to him on the side. He started laughing because this podcast is about a feel-good podcast, where people can come and get some information,
Exactly.
and do what they want with it. So my closing thoughts is, be you, be the best of you, bless others, and it'll be a boomerang blessings back. And just you wanna give any shout out, Mr. The Difference?
Not really. Shout out to everyone out there. We love you guys.
Yeah, shout out to all the faithful listeners out there for Let's
Go
Talk
Niners.
Oh, you want to talk about the Niners real quick? Because that's a feel good podcast topic. Go Niners. Yes, we are both 49er fans. So yeah, shout out to Pootie Moore. Shout out to the WEFOBZ and all the podcasts out there under wefobz.io. You guys should go check it out. My man Pootie Moore for whyuce doing his thing. And then we have supernatural limits. Oh my gosh, I'm butchering it. But just go under the wefobz page.io and check it out. Go under our podcast and check all of us out. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and all that. So thank you again, listeners. Please don't forget to leave any comments if you want us to talk about something else, okay? But we appreciate you. Until next time, be good.
Peace. Thanks for the order.